What's up, traders? Happy Friday. Hope everybody had a good week and ended it off on a good note today. Got another daily market profile recap for everyone, and we're going to wrap off the election week nicely here with a good example of an open auction in range. And we're also going to talk a little bit about how you can calculate the next session's range based on the previous session's range. Let's dig in. For those of you who are new to the channel, I release these trade plans every day, Monday through Friday at New York Open, and these plans are based on market profile for the ES futures market. Now, in these plans, I have key levels, I put out news events, I give a summary of my thoughts based on the overnight information that we've had, the overnight price action that we've had, and I determine within high probability what we are likely to do for that session. So with that said, the quickest place to find these trade plans is in the description below, where you can find a link to our free Facebook group. You can also find a link to our website, thetradingnetwork.io, where you can find access to one-on-one mentorship with me. You can find access to our Fundamentals of Futures Trading course. You can also find access to our private Discord community, where you can watch me trade Monday through Friday, starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And with that, you can also find, last but not least, our proprietary indicator package, which you will see in this video as well as many of our previous videos. Now, with all of that said, let's get into the trade plan. So you guys can see here that we have the key levels that I've marked off for this morning. And this morning, the first level that I was looking at was the 35.2250 level, which was the range high from yesterday's New York session. So if we go over to the profile, you can see this 35.2250 level. I'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you guys can really see it up close, 35.2250. Second level I was looking at was actually 35.1675. So you can see this was the value area high from the same session there. So we'll just go back to the trade plan. You can see 35.1675. Third level was 35.0475, which was the settlement price from the same session, the same day. And the next level was actually two levels combined. And I'll show you guys what I mean here. Not necessarily combined in the literal sense, but right next to each other. So I marked this off as one key level. So you can see we have the overnight point of control from the November 5th session, from the November 5th overnight session, or 5th to 6th overnight session, technically. And then we have the range low from the regular trading hour session on November 5th, which was at 34.8875. So I combine these two into one level. Of course, you could make a little zone here or something like that, and that would be sufficient. And our last level was the value area high from the regular trading hour session prior to that at 34.7175. So going back over to the profile, see right here, we had 34.7175, the value area high from the regular trading hour session of November 4th. So those were my key levels for the day. And now let's dig into the summary. We did have some news events. We still had the elections going on, obviously, throughout the week. So I had that left on there as an extreme high impact. We had average hourly earnings, we had NFP, and we also had unemployment rate today. So a lot of action, a lot of volatility, a lot of opportunity, but with opportunity comes risk, so it must be managed properly. Now, I will read you guys my thoughts from this morning. Overnight inventory was net short, which, as we know, means that the overnight profile or the overnight price action was a majority below the settlement price. We were looking to open within range and in value from yesterday's session. And when we open in range and in value, this signifies that we are likely in balance and we need new information from high time frame players to gain interest. Today I was looking for acceptance above yesterday's point of control at 35.0975. And since the overnight inventory was short, I was to be looking for the higher probability play, which was New York session fading the overnight to the upside. However, just like yesterday's session, and just like all of the sessions throughout this week since the elections began, we have not really been seeing the higher probability plays occur these last few days. With that said, If price could hold above the November 5th point of control and use that as support, I would be looking to take longs up to higher profile levels and ultimately to a new high. If we could not hold above that level, I would be looking for downside pressure, targeting levels from yesterday's profile and earlier profiles from this week. All right, so now we're going to dig into the profile here, and we'll see what I was referring to in the trade plan. So you can see we opened up here. We've got O period right here, 34.99-ish. We opened up within range, right, within yesterday's range, and very close to opening within value, about 1 point away. So the reason that I typed in my trade plan, we are looking to open in range and in value, is because before open, price was right in here. So I thought it was very likely that we were going to be opening within the value area, and if not, very close, which is exactly what happened. We opened, within 1 point or so of yesterday's value area. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull up an excerpt from Mind Over Markets here and talk about what it means when we open within value. It's referred to as acceptance, as you guys might already know. And when we are accepted, we can gather certain information from that. So when a market opens within value and is accepted, and it has overlapping TPOs or overlapping profiles, as you guys see here, here's today's profile, yesterday's profile. This generally indicates that the market is in balance and that the market sentiment has not changed dramatically from the previous day. Trade risk and opportunity are both relatively low, and the day's range usually will be contained within the previous day's range or overlap one of the previous day's extremes slightly to one side. It is a trader's dream to know ahead of time what the day's range will be. When a market opens and builds within the previous day's value area, it is possible very early on to make a rough estimate of the day's developing range. So now we're going to go over here and just going to continue to read a little bit. As mentioned before, the mere fact that a market opens and auctions within value indicates market sentiment has not changed significantly. Thus, generally, the developing range will rarely exceed the length of the previous day's range. All right, so now I'm going to show you guys what exactly that means. So you can see here that I have my ruler tool, and I have measured yesterday's session. So you can actually see that part of the market profile, they offer labels. So it tells you already here what the range is. But just for more clarification, you guys can see that yesterday's range was 33.75 points. And I took yesterday's range, the measurement, and you can see we actually have yesterday's point of control at 35.08. It acted as resistance for essentially the entire day, except for P period, which is at the end of the session. So because this acted as resistance throughout most of the session, I used this as today's extreme. Now you can see that I took the measurement from yesterday's profile, 33.75 points, and I measured that from the extreme, yesterday's POC, which ended up being today's value area high, and I pulled that down the same length, and you can see that almost to the tick, within a point, within 5 ticks, technically, we were able to estimate the day's range. So you can see here, I have this labeled. This is yesterday's point of control, which is today's extreme level, which held as resistance for essentially the entire session. Then we have up here the length of the previous day's range, which is 33.75 points. Then we had today's expected extreme, which was that 35.0850 level, which coincided with the point of control from yesterday's session. And once again, just to reiterate, I took this measurement right here from yesterday's session from range high to range low, 33.75 points. I then took that and I stuck it from the today's extreme, the high extreme, and I pulled it down, and it just so happened that today's low was within 5 ticks of this measurement. So this is very similar to a measured move like on a candlestick price pattern, if you're familiar with that, but more accurate and more precise because you have much more granular price information when using market profile. So just to reiterate, you can see that this is the length of the previous day's session superimposed from today's extreme, giving us almost an identical range calculation. It is extremely powerful. If you guys can tell the types of opens, you can make these measurements and you can calculate potential moves or potential ranges for the session. It will give you very, very high probability trade ideas. And most importantly, it will give you confidence in your edge throughout that session because you have a bird's eye view. And along with the bird's eye view, you have a high probability idea of what is likely to happen. So now that we've discussed how you can calculate the next session's range within high probability, if we open within range and value on our profile structure, let's go back to the trade plan and we'll discuss the scenarios and the summary and start to wrap things up. So you can see here that upon open, I was looking to see if we were going to get acceptance above that 35.0875 level, which was the November 5th point of control, which we've just discussed. If we could hold above that level, I was thinking that we were going to get a move back to the overnight high and higher weekly profile levels. And if we did not move above that level on open and hold, I was going to be looking for shorts down towards lower profile levels from earlier this week. Now my line in the sand, just to reiterate, was that 35.0875 level, which was that point of control and also offered up our day's high extreme for most of our session. And with that, I was thinking if we could not move and hold above that, we were going to target the following downside targets: 35.0475, 3500, 34.97, 34.80, and 34.7175. On the upside, I was thinking if we could hold and use that 35.08 level as support, we were going to visit 35.16, 35.19, 35.22, 35.31, and the all-time high of 35.41. Now let's go back to the profile and see how we did in regards to that idea. So the first target that was actually taken out on open was the high value node from the November 5th session. And that was my 35.0475 level right around here. So I figured that if we could not hold this 0875 level as support, we were very likely going to be moving down to this high value node and then the value area low from the previous session. So we took both of those targets out nicely in B period. And the next downside target we actually moved towards was 34.97. So 34.97 was actually another high value node from the November 4th to 5th overnight session. You can see that right here. This is a nice high value node. So this was third downside target that got hit. And if we just dig a little bit deeper into the profile here, you can see that this target also got hit here in B period. So very, very early on in the session. The next downside target that I was looking at was actually 34.80. So quite a big jump, a 17-point jump from my third to fourth target. And 34.80 was a level that you guys should be familiar with if you're watching my previous recaps, as that was the range high from the November 4th regular trading hour session. So that level, once again, also got taken out very early in B period. And then the final downside target did not get hit. And you guys should also be familiar with this level as we were talking about it earlier in the week. That was the 34.7175 level, which was the value area high from November 4th. So 3 out of 4 downside targets wiped out rather quickly right off the open there. Just to reiterate, we had 35.0475. We had 3500, which was the value area low from November 5th. We had 34.97, which was the high value node from the overnight session of November 4th to 5th. Fourth downside target was that 34.80 level here, which was the range high from November 4th regular trading hour session. And fifth downside target was the 71.75 level here that did not get hit. Now let's check out the upside targets. And we actually don't really have much to work with as far as upside because we did not get any of our upside targets hit. Going back to the trade plan here, you can see that our upside targets were 35.1675, 19, 22.50, 31.50, and 41. And going back to the profile, you can see that today's high was 35.15, and we did not see that until much later in the day in P period. So 4 out of 5 downside targets hit, 0 out of 5 upside targets hit, as we saw this extreme, this point of control, my line in the sand, if you will, hold for a large majority of the day, and only did we see extension above that level later in the day in P period. So this is very interesting. You know, with that measurement that you guys saw earlier, I was able to determine very high probability what our range was going to be for the day. And because of that, I was able to use these already established levels to take trades off of, right? 3,500, 3,488, 3,508, and then even these higher value nodes here, which were beautiful levels as well. And when you can use and determine your probability or your range probability for the next session, or even using other market profile strategies to determine your probability for what's likely to happen, you, as I say many times and have said in many of my videos, you instantly have more confidence, you have more statistical edge, and you have higher probability on your side inevitably anytime you're using this market generated information to your advantage. I really hope that you guys are enjoying these market profile recaps, forecasts, and just in general learning about how I use this market generated information to my advantage in my intraday trading on a daily basis. If you guys do enjoy this content, please feel free to click like and subscribe down below, and check out the links in the description where you can find access to our free Facebook group where you can get these very trade plans every single day, Monday through Friday at New York Open. You will also find in the description a link to our website, thetradingnetwork.io, where you can get one-on-one mentorship with me. You can also purchase access to our proprietary indicator package, as well as our Discord community, where you can watch me trade every single day, Monday through Friday, at 9:30 Eastern as well. In addition to that, you can also find access to the Fundamentals of Futures Trading, which is our comprehensive course newly released designed to take a futures trader or an aspiring futures trader, even one that has little to no knowledge of trading futures, and give them a path for consistent profitability. Once again, I want to thank you guys for being a part of the Trading Network, and I will see you guys on Sunday for the weekly forecast.